There are areas on Earth where 1 square kilometer can accommodate the population of a small modern city. Tens of thousands of people simultaneously sleep, work, study, receive treatment, and dispose of household waste daily. The problem starts not just with small apartments, but with the whole overloaded city system. Every morning, these people need roads, water, electricity, schools, hospitals, and reliably functioning transportation. If just one part of the city fails, the consequences are immediately felt by tens of thousands of local residents. Therefore, population density shows not just the number of people, but the actual load on the space. Let's start with the city where this load reaches an almost incredible level, literally every weekday. Manila covers a small area but is home to nearly 2 million permanent residents living there constantly.
The 2020 census recorded over 1,800,000 official permanent inhabitants in the city. The average population density reached nearly 74,000 permanent residents per square kilometer in the city. This means that one city block can accommodate the population of an entire large European district center. What is particularly impressive is the enormous Tondo, where more than 650,000 registered people live permanently. Here, homes, markets, workshops, and transportation literally compete for every available square meter of urban space.
The street simultaneously becomes a road, a parking lot, a shop, a playground, and a place for neighbors to socialize. In certain neighborhoods, the distance between the houses is so small that cars simply cannot pass through. Then the delivery of goods, waste removal, and emergency assistance directly depend on numerous narrow passages.
Fire in dense development is dangerous, not only for flames, but also for rapid spread. Adjacent buildings are located close together, and evacuation routes can quickly become completely filled with people. During heavy rain, another problem comes from below, when the streets start to flood with water. The sewage system must simultaneously receive wastewater from a huge number of apartments, shops, and enterprises. If the system is overloaded, dirty water gets stuck where tens of thousands of permanent residents live nearby. Even regular garbage collection turns into a continuous operation that cannot be stopped for long. Every single day, hundreds of thousands of families generate waste across just a few urban neighborhoods. Should the garbage trucks be delayed, the free space begins to disappear even faster, literally before your eyes. But the overpopulation is felt even more strongly where a person is forbidden to leave the premises on their own. Philippine prisons have been overcrowded for years, so authorities are running programs to ease the load. Subscribe if you are interested in the real life of cities that cannot be seen on tourist postcards. In a cramped cell, high density is no longer an inconvenience, but a sanitary problem. But Manila only shows horizontal congestion, while Hong Kong has solved the problem vertically. Here, millions of people are distributed among high-rise towers standing on extremely expensive, limited urban land. At first glance, it's the opposite of a slum. The subway runs, streets are clean, and skyscrapers are modern. But inside some homes, space becomes so expensive that apartments start to be divided. The Hong Kong government estimates the number of divided homes at about 110,000. According to the latest official government estimate, about 220,000 people live in them today. One ordinary apartment is divided by partitions into several independent rooms for different families. A bed, a refrigerator, clothes, and a small table can take up almost all of the available interior living space. Since March 2026, the authorities have introduced new minimum housing standards. The basic residential unit must have an area of at least 8 square meters inside the premises itself. It should also have a separate restroom, ventilation, a safe electrical network, and a normal, constant water supply. The very fact that such a standard has appeared shows how small commercial urban housing has become. For comparison, the median living space per person in Hong Kong is significantly higher than this level. But the poorest tenants live in a completely different reality of the same rich city. At the same time, high density makes public transport incredibly efficient and in demand every day. One subway station has the ability to serve a vast local population within just a very short walking distance.
It's also easier for a store to find regular customers when tens of thousands of people live directly around it. Therefore, the density not only reduces personal space, but also makes urban services more economically advantageous. The next city illustrates the moment when economic benefit stops saving transportation from overload. Dhaka serves as a massive hub for work, education, trade, and government institutions across the nation. In the Southern City Corporation, the density reaches almost 40,000 permanent residents per square kilometer. In the northern part, this official figure exceeds 30,000 people per square kilometer. But inside the old neighborhoods, the density is often much higher than the city average. In the morning, huge masses of people simultaneously head to offices, shops, factories, and educational institutions. Buses, cars, motorcycles, rickshaws, and pedestrians all engage in a daily struggle for access to just one available lane on the road. Even a short trip can become quite unpredictable, as a small incident can disrupt an entire chain of events. The density here is felt not by the walls of the apartment, but by the time a person loses every day. If the road is seriously congested, the ambulance loses those critical minutes along with everyone else. High density, therefore, directly affects the availability of medicine, even if there is a hospital. A hospital may be geographically close, but still far away in terms of actual travel time.
During heavy monsoon rains, traffic becomes even more difficult due to deep water in the streets. The stormwater system is under immense strain from dense development and almost non-existent open land. The more asphalt and roofs there are, the faster rainwater ends up inside overloaded urban drainage systems. If the drains are blocked or small, a regular street turns into a temporary waterway among the houses. Then transport, trade, and the school day all depend on the water level at the same time. Dhaka shows that overpopulation is measured not only by people, but by lost hours of life. Now, let's move to Mumbai, where density has created a completely different urban survival system. Official suburban district density exceeded 25,000 people per square kilometer, but some residential areas in Mumbai are much tighter than any official average for the vast city district.
The area of Dharavi is especially known for its homes mixed with trade and constant small-scale production. One small room can be a workshop in the morning, a kitchen in the evening, and a shared family bedroom at night. This allows for saving valuable space, but completely erases the boundary between work and home. Narrow passageways are transforming into a genuine internal logistics network for raw materials, finished goods, food, and people. Where the truck cannot physically pass, goods are transferred in small batches by hand or with small carts. Thus, the ultra-dense area creates its own economy, adapted to the scarcity of every square meter available. But in the morning, residents must still commute between districts of the vast metropolis for work. Therefore, the suburban railways are becoming the lifeblood of the city, a vital system that simply cannot be halted.
Millions of trips are concentrated around a limited number of lines, stations, and interchange hubs every day. Every delay spreads further because the next train inherits the accumulated crowd from the previous one. In a dense city, a transport disruption rarely remains a local problem for just one station for very long. He begins to change work schedules, school classes, trading hours, and the usual time that people typically return home. Could you live where the commute is more exhausting than your work shift? Please write down which city from this list seems to you to be the most challenging for everyday life. Our next stop, you see, is in Karachi, and there the primary shortage isn't just about urban space anymore. The census of 2023 recorded more than 20 million residents in Karachi. Only the central urban district has approached 4 million people according to the latest official census. In Liaquatabad, there are more than 500,000 residents living within a relatively small urban area. Such a concentration creates enormous demand for electricity, water, gas, and sewage facilities. Water is especially sensitive because every person needs it every day without exception. When the centralized supply is insufficient, a market for private tankers and household water tanks emerges. The roof then becomes not just a place to relax, but part of the family's shared infrastructure. Water tanks, pumps, and storage systems are installed in the house to survive regular power outages. The denser the area, the more neighbors simultaneously try to fill their own water tanks. Similar logic applies to electricity when thousands of air conditioners turn on a hot evening. The grid experiences peak load precisely when the heat makes electricity especially necessary. When disconnected, the pumps, fans, elevators, and part of the home cooling immediately stop working. High density, therefore, turns a utility accident into a problem for a huge number of families at the same time. It also complicates repairs because numerous old utility lines already run beneath the streets. Opening the road for major repairs means temporarily stopping traffic where there are almost no detours. Karachi shows another side of overpopulation. The city must constantly deliver resources to millions of apartments. However, there is a place that proves that high density itself does not necessarily destroy comfort. Located near Paris is Levallois-Perret, which is known to be one of the most densely populated municipalities in France.
In 2023, around 68,000 people lived here in this area. The density exceeded 28,000 residents per square kilometer, according to recent official statistics. This is comparable to the figures for Asian megacities, but visually, the area looks completely different. There are no endless slums here, and most streets remain accessible for vehicles and emergency services at all times. Sewage systems, public transport, schools, medical facilities, and regular waste collection are all functioning well. The high cost of land leads to denser construction, but infrastructure is developing alongside the new buildings. It is this comparison that dismantles the simple myth that a large number of people automatically means chaos. Density becomes a problem when networks and services are designed for a smaller population.
If the pipe can serve a neighborhood, tens of thousands of residents receive water without daily struggle. If the subway carries enough passengers, density even increases the efficiency of the city's public transport. If a fire truck can access the area, a tight neighborhood remains much safer than closed-off mazes and alleys. When there is a park, square, or courtyard, residents gain essential public space beyond their apartments for gathering. Thus, the same density figure can conceal vastly different levels of daily human comfort and livability in a community. In one district, 20,000 residents means convenient subway access, schools, and shops nearby. In another context, they signify long lines waiting for water, overcrowded buses, and narrow passageways. The main difference lies not in the people themselves, but in the actual power of the surrounding infrastructure.
Usually, residents first notice the roads because a huge traffic jam is visible to literally everyone. Next, a lack of public transportation becomes apparent, and daily commutes become longer and more difficult. Then, housing becomes more expensive as too many families compete for a limited number of units. Owners start to divide apartments, add extra floors, or use the space much more intensively than before. After that, the pressure gradually shifts to schools, clinics, electrical grids, and the district's water supply. A hospital can build new offices, but it's impossible for a doctor to see an infinite number of patients at the same time. A school can expand classes until overcrowding starts to lower the quality of children's education. Sewage systems work unnoticed until their capacity becomes insufficient during heavy rain, revealing their limitations. Trash seems like a simple issue until specialized trucks can no longer navigate the streets daily to collect it. But the halt in waste removal quickly shows how much waste a super-dense area produces in 24 hours. The most dangerous test occurs during a fire, a flood, an earthquake, or any other kind of disaster. Then, tens of thousands of people are trying to use the same roads, stairs, and exits at the same time. A system comfortable on a normal day must suddenly withstand an extraordinary flow of people. This is why dense cities require not just backup infrastructure, but significantly more of it. They need alternate routes, backup power, fire lanes, and adequate medical capacity to handle emergencies effectively. The less free space there is, the more costly it is to fix a mistake after the neighborhood is built. Therefore, it is essential that careful planning takes place well in advance before new houses completely fill the area. But why do millions of people continue to move to cities where space is so incredibly expensive. This is because density arises around various opportunities, such as jobs, universities, trade, transportation, and healthcare. Manila, Dhaka, Mumbai, and Karachi attract people precisely because of their economic importance to the country. A person tolerates a cramped room if there is a stable job nearby that can support his family. He endures the long journey, especially when the alternative is the complete absence of any suitable income nearby. Therefore, overpopulation is often a side effect of a city's success, not just its failure. The main problem begins when the population grows faster than roads, houses, and utility systems. Yesterday's advantage of the big city gradually turns into a daily struggle for access to basic resources. People are competing not for luxury anymore, but for water, time, and living space. Here, the main common lesson from all the cities we've examined across our vast planet becomes clear. Humanity can technically accommodate tens of thousands of people comfortably within a single square kilometer. This requires expensive infrastructure, transport, security, sanitation, and constant urban management. Without these, density quickly shifts from an economic advantage to a systemic vulnerability for the city. With them, the same density makes stores closer, transport more efficient, and services more accessible. Therefore, the main question of the future is not how many people a megalopolis can accommodate. It's much more important to understand how many people its infrastructure can normally serve every day. A city becomes overpopulated not when it runs out of land, but when it runs out of its margin of safety.